Hey, North Pointe family. Want to bring you up to date on our plans for the next few weeks. As you know by now, we're going to worship online only on July 5th. But then we are constantly evaluating, with our number one grid being, how can we reach the most people? So on the 12th and 19th, we're going to move indoors for our services together and see and evaluate, how do we do there? Now, as we move indoors, the safety concerns step up. And those are things we're going to need to consider. Now, as we're considering those things, I'm going to ask you to keep two things in mind. First, every person, every family has a different risk factor. Some families have no risk factors. Everybody's in good health. They're not in the demographic that falls into it. There's no underlying physical conditions, so they can go forward. Other families are not. They fall in a demographic that's a higher risk, or they've got some underlying health issue, and they have to. So, can we be kind with one another as people weigh their risks differently? Second, can we agree that God works uniquely in people's lives when safety is at issue? An example, Acts 12, Peter was in prison. He was scheduled to be run through by Herod. God opened the prison, and Peter left. Herod came searching for him, couldn't find him, and a couple guards were executed. We can say, well, that's standard practice, isn't it? Except in Acts 16, when Paul, Silas, and Timothy were in a Philippian prison, God opened the doors, and they stayed. And in fact, a Philippian Jailer came to Christ, and he became part of the church. Well, did Paul simply just have greater faith than Peter? Except in Acts 9, when Paul was developing in his faith and he was confounding the Christians in Damascus and they were after him, instead of just walking out the gate like Jesus did in Luke 4 because it wasn't his time, they found a hole in the wall and they let him down in a basket. That's not a very courageous act, is it? But then in Acts 21, when Paul was scheduled to go to Jerusalem and he knew affliction, wait a minute, Agabus came and said, don't go. And Paul said, I'm going. What's my point? My point is this. I believe God works uniquely in different people's lives in different times. And so as we make decisions related to safety, can we be gracious with one another and understand that people are going to react differently depending on what God's doing in their life and what kind of health conditions they've got? So with that in mind, I want to let you know that we're going to have two services. At the 9 o'clock service, we're going to mandate that people wear some kind of face covering or mask. At the 10:30 service, we're going to recommend it, but not require it. Again, people have different opinions on this, but here's my hope in the church. That we can be gracious with one another and understand that people see things differently. Starting Monday, July 6th, will you be looking online on our website? Because we're going to be given details on what those two services are going to look like. We're even going to have a video with a walkthrough. And as always, if you don't feel comfortable coming to service, we will be online and you can worship with us there. One way or another, I look forward to seeing you soon.